What's up and welcome. I'm Amy Young, and this is just what you needed. Hello there. I have to tell you a secret. I'm video recording this podcast, and I feel so out of my element for some reason. I don't understand this. This is a fascinating thing that I'm realizing. As I speak to you in real time right now, audio recording, totally cool. Love doing it. Like recording podcast episodes, so easy. Sit down, plunk down, hit record, go. Shooting a video, love it. So easy. Sit down, record, plunk, go. Merging those two things together, like making a video and an audio at the same time, for some reason, it's like crossing wires in my brain that I don't understand. And I'm like, so I'm sharing it with you up top that, yeah, we are experimenting as we move into the new year. We're experimenting with video recording podcast episodes and potentially uploading some clips onto YouTube. We don't know exactly what we're doing with them yet, but if my speech sounds a little different or like the cadence, of my speech is a little not standard of what you're used to on the pod, that's why. It's because too many parts of my brain are lit up all at once and I am feeling awkward about it. So welcome to the new year, just what you needed experience. Aren't you so glad you decided to tune in today? Oh boy. So yeah, let me get into what this ding dang episode is all about, because this has become a huge theme in my life. It's become a really big theme in my life. I would say for the past year, this is something I've repeated to myself. I'm going to be sharing a particular little power phrase that I've repeated to myself so many times and reminded myself of so many times. It's also something that's been coming up with a number of my clients in the Undoing and on a couple of our Undoing Unfiltered community calls. Which if you haven't come to one of those yet, we're going to put the link in the show notes for you to come to January's call, which is Thursday, the 21st. I'm super duper excited about it. Definitely please check it out. See if it seems like something you would vibe with. But yeah, this is a big old theme. And it is also very focused in patriarchal deprogramming, which is a huge continuous thing that I am just preaching and teaching all the live long day. And I'm going to share with you first the story of how this awareness and this power phrase plopped itself into my life. And it actually occurred, I was remembering this specifically because it happened over the holidays last year. Remember 2019 into 2020 when we were all so innocent and wide-eyed and like didn't know how to function inside of a global pandemic. I mean, I feel like I still barely know how to function, and yet here I am. But back when life was quote unquote normal, even though what even is normal, that's a whole different podcast episode. But I was visiting family for the holidays, and it was my first time coming home to Boston, traveling to the East Coast since I'd moved out to Boulder. And I had bought a one-way ticket because I told my mom I wasn't sure how long I wanted to stay for. And she was really bugging me about like wanting me to stay for a couple weeks, wanting me to spend as much time as I could. She was asking me, well, when do you have to get back to work? And can't you just work from here? And didn't you bring your laptop? And can't you just stay? My mother is such a wonderful, supportive person. And she loves how happy I am out here in Boulder. But my mom also just like loves having everybody under one roof, and she loves having all the baby birds in the nest. And she was so excited that I was coming home for the holidays, and she just wanted me to stay for as long as I possibly could. Now, I, on the other hand, know myself well enough to know that if I overstay my welcome in my parents' house, I will turn into an angry teenage bitch version of me. That is what will happen. There's this great quote from Ram Dass. He says, if you think you're enlightened, go spend a week with your family. And every time I think that I've like had some big breakthrough or something, and I'm like, wow, I'm looking back at how I used to be and how uncodependent I am, and how authentic I am and I have such good boundaries. Sometimes I will just laugh because I think about the person that I don't want to become, but that I just sometimes naturally become when I am home with my parents. And like the role that I slide back into. And I just in many ways end up not liking that version of me. And I know I'm not alone in this because I've had so many conversations with women over the years who feel the same way, where it's like, I don't know what it is. Like my mom can just come into the room and she just says this one totally innocuous thing and it like throws me for a fucking loop and I don't know how to deal with it. And then suddenly I'm screaming and I don't know why I'm screaming. I'm not a screamer. I see you. I get you. And um, you know, how I have learned to deal with that like reversion into old childhood dynamics or old personalities or aspects of ourselves that yeah, we're just like, I'm not this person anymore. Why am I like, you know, getting so angry or being passive aggressive or, whatever that version of you looks like? One of the ways that I try to mitigate that is by understanding what my limitations are around family stuff. And in even more concrete terms, like how many days and nights can I spend under one roof with these wonderful people that I love before I will start to climb the walls and feel like a total Nutter Butters, anxious, angry version of myself? Like, realistically, what's my max? And what I've come to discover is that my max is about a week. I mean, really, honestly, like 5 days is probably the max, but I round up to just like a week. And I remember telling my mom when she was like, how long are you going to stay? You going to stay for a while? I told her, I was like, I'm not really sure, but I think like, 5 days, 7 days, like I think a week max is probably a good idea. And then I'm going to head back to Boulder. And she was understandably a little disappointed, like she again respects my decisions, but she was like, really? You don't want to stay longer? But like, we haven't seen you since the fall and who knows when you're going to be coming back? I mean, little did we both know. I'm not even touching on the fact that I then didn't go home for like a year, right? Or I don't even remember what it was at this point, but like 2020 was not a year for travel. So maybe she was onto something. Maybe my mom had some inner intuition that was like, hey, girl, like, don't you want to stay a while? Because you don't know when you're not going to next see us. But I couldn't have known that at the time. All I knew at the time was like, I have limits. There's a certain amount of capacity I have for family dynamics, and my capacity is a week. And if I stay longer than a week, it's going to get ugly. And we're going to fight, and things are going to get tense, and they're going to get uncomfortable. But my mom didn't see things that way. She just looked at it like, it's so wonderful when we can have time together. Don't we want to squeeze every drop of family juice that we can out of this holiday season? Like, can't you stick around for 2 weeks? Can't you stay even longer? And I remember looking at her and just saying, Mom, I love you, but more isn't always better. And this is that moment I was talking about where like a little light bulb went off in my brain and was like, remember those words, because Amy, those words don't just apply here. That is something to fall back on and to think on and chew on, that more isn't always better. And I, just kind of explained it or justified it by saying, I love you and I love spending time with you, but we both know that after a certain period of time, things will start to get tense and it'll get uncomfortable and we'll get stressed, and then we'll be breathing down each other's necks, and then we won't have these like nice, wonderful, agreeable memories of this holiday season. It's going to be like by the time I'm leaving, I'm going to be like, I can't wait to get out of here. And I didn't want things to get to that point. Right. So yeah, I just left her with those words. More doesn't always mean better. It doesn't necessarily mean that things are going to be everything that we want them to be just because we're trying to like maximize every effort. That sometimes less is better, right? And this is, I'm sure, where that phrase less is more comes from. But this is something, this concept that more doesn't always mean better. This is something that I have carried around with me and reminded myself of, especially as my business and my mission in the world is evolving in the way that it's evolving right now. Because something that, I've really had to embrace as I move into this new body of work, and as I get clearer and clearer on what this body of work even is, like I'm really in a phase of like epic self-discovery for myself personally as a human, and also as a coach and a teacher and a leader. Like I feel like I'm learning so much about myself all the time that um I'm very much still sorting out, like, what is it that I actually feel best suited to teach or lead in the world, and like, what is the thing that I'm going to most adequately be able to support and assist other humans in navigating. There's a lot of layers to that right now, and it's something that I am continuing to distill and refine and understand for myself. But one thing that's become really abundantly clear, as my work is shifting gears, as I'm no longer doing dating and relationship focused work, is losing people, like losing certain clients because it might not be their vibe, losing followers on Instagram, losing YouTube subscribers, probably losing podcast listeners. Like I am literally seeing numbers go down as I shift gears and share new content. And as I'm looking out at 2021 and preparing to make some changes to things, I'm fully prepared. Like I don't know what it's going to look like, but I could absolutely see a dip in revenue, or in terms of my income, or the profit that my business is making. Like what I am offering right now is very different than what I've offered previously in my coaching work. And if I was fully plugged into this deep program of like more, better. Like I need to be making more. I need to be connected with more. I need to be seeing more. I need to be building more. I need to be doing all, because that is better. And that's what I want. And that's the right trajectory. If I was totally consumed by that, I would be freaking the motherfuck out in my business right now, because I would be watching numbers go down and I would be like, oh my God, like I'm failing. Everything's failing. But I know, again, this is the power phrase. I know that more isn't always better, that more isn't necessarily better. And that in a lot of cases in life, really being able to dial into the most essential, fewer elements of what is fulfilling and necessary and life-giving and really supportive to our well-being, like dialing it down and dialing it in to just the absolute essentials, is such a necessary, beautiful practice. And that in many cases, doing that can feel much better and be much better for everyone involved. Similar to like my decision to be like, I'm going to put a cap on how many days I'm spending with my family for the holidays, because it's going to be better for all of us. Being like, I am going to, dial back my internet output, or the volume of content that I'm creating, or how many times I'm showing up on social media this week. I'm going to really just like dial that back a little bit based on what I have the capacity for and the availability for, and based on, what my essentials and my priorities are for my own well-being. That is going to better serve everyone. It's going to be better for me and my online community and my clients and my business to actually be willing to scale back and clarify and distill and refine. And this is so counter to so much of the advice and guidance and expectation, I would say, of what I've heard from a lot of people, from whether it's coaches or consultants that I've worked with in the past, or friends of mine who have ideas about what would make my business grow this year, or, oh, Amy, you should really have like a team of coaches working under you. Like you should really have more people that you could be serving, like you could have like 100 clients working under your practice. And when I hear things like that, like when I hear people just, I don't want to say parroting, because it could be really valid and valuable advice, but it falls under this more equals better programming, that it's like, well, don't you want to grow? Don't you want things to get bigger? Don't you want more people? Don't you want more influence? Don't you want to make more money? I am always exceedingly dubious of it. Always. Zero exceptions. I always just take a breath, I take a pause, and I feel into, like, where is that coming from? Because sometimes more can be better. Sometimes growth is completely natural. Sometimes it feels completely appropriate and true to expand, to grow, to serve more, to make more, to build more, to spend more time with your family at the holidays. Sometimes that is just what the doctor ordered, and that's exactly what wants to happen. Very often, though, what I have found is that we can just be sort of unclear about what we really want, or what like the deeper thing is that's calling us in a given moment. We're just not super attuned to that. So we just get caught up in the more equals better program. It just will like take over and hijack our life's work and our mission and our sense of satisfaction and fulfillment, because it is so compelling, mostly to our egoic selves. Like the ego, or this particular part of us that always like wants more, that's always like hungry for, like the next thing. Like the Buddhists, I've heard it referred to as the hungry ghost inside of you, who's just like, yes, more, better, more, better, more, better. It's a really tricky one to start to tune into and learn how to turn off, because, well, for a number of reasons, we don't really, a lot of people like don't really understand it. Like a lot of people are just like, well, why wouldn't you want, like, look, my mom is a perfect example. Why wouldn't we want to just have more time together if we can? Or when I've spoken to certain consultants or coaches, like, well, why wouldn't you just want to, 10x your revenue or whatever? And there's like all kinds of reasons for why not just hitting the more better button or just pushing for expansion or pushing for growth is a brilliant idea. Like there's so many reasons. For me, one of the primary reasons is like I'm in a major season of slowdown. And like I said, I'm more interested in distillation and refinement. I heard this great quote from Monica Aldama, the coach from Cheer. I'm sure she didn't come up with this. I think it's like a saying that some of you probably already know, but she was on Whitney Cummings' podcast and they were talking about friendships. And Monica said, I'm the type of person I'd always rather have 4 quarters than 100 pennies. And I like thought that was such a beautiful metaphor for exactly this topic today that we're diving into around like, do you want like richer and more satisfying and more aligned presence in your life, whether we're talking about friendships, relationships, uh, work, relationship to social media, whatever you want to call it, like, do we want stuff that's like a really rich, good, yummy, right fit? Or do we just want more? You know me, I love like a food metaphor, but it's like, I'm really in this phase where I'm like, I want my whole life to be so nutrient dense. I don't want any empty calories. I don't want to be showing up on social media just because it's what I'm supposed to do, even if I don't really have anything super valuable to add or say. I don't want to just show up because that's like the expectation is like, oh, but like I should be posting, right? I don't want to just like maintain connections or win some type of internet popularity contest because having more is better, having more followers is better, having more collaborations is better. Like, I want everything in my life, both personal, professional, spiritual, mental, emotional. Like, I want every aspect of my life to be rich with so much alignment and truth um and like true satisfaction and fulfillment, that there's like no room for those empty calorie things, choices, options. But when we are plugged into the more, better program, it's really tough for us to adequately discern, like, okay, what's actually a fit and what is it that wants to happen next? And what do I actually feel genuinely called towards? And what's just the egoic, hungry ghost part of me that just wants to move through life like a little Pac-Man and just like get as much as I can? Right? Like, this is so pervasive. And even when I didn't think I was getting sucked into it, like, there are times where I can look back and I can see 2020, hindsight's 2020. I can see so clearly that it's like, oh, that was just me like chasing after more because I thought that it would be better and I thought I would be in a better position or I would be happier or my life would be better, whatever. And what I've come to learn, right? Like, this is what I keep echoing over and over again is like, if there's something that you are chasing after in your life or something that you even just like you really want, and it's a box you can check or it's a finish line you can cross, or it's something, I would go even so far as to say is like it's something really measurable, like something numeric, you can get that. And I can almost guarantee like it just will not give you the boost and the bump that you imagine that it will. You'll be excited. If you're like me, you'll be excited for like 45 seconds and then you're just going to want the next thing. Like, the little more better program's just going to kick in and it's going to be like, oh, yeah. Okay, the next thing, more. I am so tired of existing on that treadmill. I'm completely 1,000% over it. And I actually have very little patience for it in others. And something I'm super thankful for is that, because I've had to unravel my own understanding of this in myself, across different areas, like definitely in my business, but also in relationships and friendships and all over the place in my life. I'm really good at spotting it in my clients too. Like, I'm really good at helping them dial in on those moments when they've convinced themselves, well, I just need more XYZ and then I'll be able to 1, 2, 3, versus realizing that it's like, oh, maybe you can just 1, 2, 3 right now. Like, do you really need more in order for things to be better? Or is it possible that there's something else, like a deeper desire or something that's wanting to get fulfilled here or to be satisfied here, that actually doesn't require the more? That doesn't require whatever it is that you are chasing after or trying to have in your life so that you can experience some degree of fulfillment or security or, egoic satisfaction that's not really going to fuel you anyway. This is like a really tricky, tough one. And I think it's especially hard for people. This is a conversation I've actually been having with some coach friends, especially lately, about how, everyone is a little bit different, but there are certain people, and I do think codependency plays into this. Like, there are certain people who, I'm one of these people, by the way, if this is you, who can just get very all or nothing about things. Like, we dive into something and we go so hard into it. Like, like the Pokemon catchphrase, like, gotta catch them all. We're like, gotta catch them all people. Like, it's like, if I'm going to put my energy behind this, I am going to fucking succeed at it, or I'm going to thrive in it, or I am going to go harder and deeper and faster than anybody before. And if you're a gotta catch 'em all kind of person, if you tend to like dive deep and go hard, whether it is like in a relationship, right? Like you just get involved with someone and right away you're just like, okay, this is my person. We're going to do this. I want to spend every day with this person. Our first date was 7 hours long and our second date was a whole weekend long. And by our third date, we moved in together. Like more and more and more and more intimacy, closeness, connection, attention. I need it. I need it. If you're like a cannonballer kind of gal, this is going to be one of your lessons in life. I shouldn't tell you what your lessons in life are going to be because I don't actually know. But I can tell you from enough experience with myself and with so many of my clients that like learning how to discern and be a little bit more measured about where our attention goes, where our energy goes, breaking up with this program of more always equaling better is a really worthwhile quest. And it's something that I think life wants to teach us a lot of the time. Like life keeps wanting me to learn that that alignment is more sacred and essential and necessary than, any other potential qualifier when it comes to what I say yes to and what I say no to. It's like being really honest with myself about like, does this feel aligned? Does this feel like really true to me? Does this feel like what naturally wants to happen next? Or does this feel like something that I am trying to, push into becoming or to force into existence because I have a really, really strong idea about how things should go and how things should be? Maybe in a different world, I don't even want to say in a perfect world, but just in a different world, I would be so like ready, able, and available to spend 3 weeks at home with my amazing family and just have mother-daughter time 24/7 all the live long day. I don't even know if my mom would want 3 weeks, to be honest with you. But, in a different world, like maybe that would be an available option and it would be great. And it would be exactly what the doctor ordered. In this lifetime, on this plane, in this particular experience, that is simply not the case. And if I ignore that reality, and if I push my own agenda because I have some idea of how we should be operating together or what that relationship needs to look like, then everybody suffers and everybody struggles. In the same way that, like when I started getting hints and hits and nudges to slow the fuck down in my business and like take more pauses and reassess and look at like, am I evolving? Are things growing in a different direction? I ignored all of those instincts because I was just so committed to like, look, I'm already doing things this way. It's working. We got to keep doing things this way. I'm just going to stay on the treadmill. Okay. And I'm going to up the speed and I'm going to juggle more balls and I'm just going to subscribe unconsciously to the more better program. And I did that until I simply couldn't do it anymore, because the feedback became too loud and too strong and too aggressive for me to ignore, that like that wasn't going to work. So as you're listening to this, there might be a little area of your life or something that just lit up for you where you realized like, oh, I am really attached or fixated on this idea of having more or doing more or being more something so that I can, have things just be better than they are. And you don't have to let that go entirely. I mean, you don't have to do anything ever that I suggest, but I invite you to just like slow down and get a little curious about like, what is that about? And where is that coming from? And is that something that you want to keep active in your life? Or is there something else that actually is more interesting or compelling that feels more aligned to you that doesn't fit into the more better program? Maybe you live in a beautiful 5-bedroom house and you and your family are doing like really well, but God, you're feeling called to just like downsize or or shift up your lifestyle in some way that wouldn't quote unquote make sense because it doesn't fit into this like more better program where it's like, oh, you've got five bedrooms. Well, maybe you want to upgrade to a 7-bedroom. You know, I'm always fascinated. Every now and again, I tune into a Real Housewives franchise, and I'm always like, Amy, what are you doing here? But it is like my pure trash treasure. Like there's something about the Real Housewives that keeps me coming back, and I'm always stunned by like just how blatant this is displayed in some of those women's lives where they're like, you know, we had a 15,000 square foot home and then we just upgraded to the 22,000 square foot home. And it's just been really wonderful. We used to have 2 pools, but now we have 3 pools and a sauna and the tennis court. And that's really much better for us. You know, meanwhile, who knows what the fuck is actually going on behind the scenes? It never seems like it's something all that good from the headlines that I glimpse. And as a reminder, like we do not know anybody's inner world. So someone can have all the boxes checked and everything can look really pretty from the outside. And it doesn't mean that that person's soul is sleeping well every night. But, you know, just like, yeah, get really curious about where in your life you maybe accidentally, unconsciously are holding yourself to an obligation of more, of better, quote unquote. You know, is it actually more? Is it actually better? When really the deeper calling might be to scale back, to slow down, to go deeper, not wider, to distill, to refine, to allow yourself to get in touch with the pure essentials, like the most nutrient dense, delicious ingredients that would fuel you and fulfill you much more, versus just staying plugged into this, you know, treadmill and trajectory of where you think you should be heading, the direction that you think you should be going in. In my experience, most people, if they're lucky, they wake up at some point and realize like, fuck, I've been chasing the wrong thing. And for some people, they don't realize it until so late in the game. And I don't think it's ever too soon or too early to just like tune in and be really honest about like why we do what we do. Why am I chasing that thing? Why do I want that? What do I think it's going to give me? How is that going to change my life? Is it actually going to be better? You know, is more really the answer here? Or is there something else, something deeper, something more delicious that would be more aligned and more a fit for where my life wants to take me next and where I'm naturally feeling called to go? This is going to be a continuous, nonstop, probably forever theme in my life. And it's definitely going to be showing up all over the place as we embark on the new year. You know, I am really reflecting on how I'm showing up in my business, where I'm showing up. You know, I'm talking with Erica in India of Pause on the Play about realistically, like how much of a presence and like and how much power I really want to put into a social media platform right now. I have so many mixed feelings about social media. You know, even if I have a large audience on a platform, like do I really want to be feeding the social media beast? I really don't know, but at this point some things are going to have to change. You know, I'm working with fewer women, but going deeper than I ever have before. And that feels really good. Like this is just something that I'm going to keep revisiting. And that's why I wanted to share it with you, you know, as I'm sure you're getting into a new rhythm and setting the stage for the year that you want to have, to really just be reflecting on, you know, what's a really like true, honest, delicious fit for right now. What is the thing that like wants to happen versus, you know, what do I think should happen? Or what's the smartest, most strategic, sensible decision? I am so over smart, strategical sensibility. I am just like, fuck that fucking noise. So if you are also someone who wants to unplug from the program and paradigm of more better, if you are feeling really called, to like slow down, go inward, explore, like rediscover yourself on a different level, then there's going to be a lot of cool stuff coming for you. A lot of things that I am designing, that I have in the works. And yeah, keep, tuning into the pod and revisiting and coming back, and sharing. If there's someone in your life that you're on this journey with, and you maybe both have been having these kinds of conversations where you're thinking about what you really want or the direction your life is headed in, and you've been doing that kind of reflection, then maybe this is something that would benefit them as well. But I leave you with these words, right? That like more doesn't necessarily mean better. And that sometimes, the more beneficial, happier, more fulfilling choice is to actually choose way, way, way less, and to know what we have the capacity for and the availability for, and to just honor that above and before any ideas we have of how we should be showing up. It's a deep one, but it's a good one.